Good morning. I'm here today to go over our directions for today's assignment, which is June 5th. Of course, happy Friday. Hopefully a pretty fun activity for you guys to end out the week on food chains and food webs. So as you can see in your post, I'm just going to open up the actual document here. So this is a kind of a really cool way for us to kind of review what we talked about yesterday and to kind of give you a little hands-on as best we can using technology to complete today's activity. So there's a little introduction talking about food webs, food chains, why they're important. So you can read through that introduction. But then you're going to go through wherever you see a red text, that's where you need to edit an answer or create an answer. Okay, so it says number one, food chains consist of producers and consumers. What are producers? So right where it says type here, you would click on it and say producers are organisms that make their own food. Okay, give an example of three producers. Okay, three examples include the grass, an oak tree, and a sunflower. Okay, so you kind of go through and answer these four respective questions right there. What's a consumer? List three examples of consumers. Next, on this next slide, which is slide 2, you are going to take those types of consumers as a herbivore, carnivore, omnivore, and decomposer. Give me a definition. It can either be in your own words, it could be from Google, or it can be from your notes from yesterday, and give me an example or examples of each of those types. And then number 6, look back at question number 5, explain why all the examples in the table are considered, quote unquote, consumers, which you can refer back to slide 1 if you need that. Next, I really like this little activity here. So you're going to kind of group them based on what they are. So you're going to take, for example, this grasshopper. Okay, grasshopper. What do grasshoppers eat? Does anybody know? Okay, they eat smaller insects. So that would be an example of a carnivore. Okay, you see a tree here. We know that that would be an example of a what? A producer. Okay, so you would go here and you would drag and drop the respective things right there. Okay, into the 5 different technically categories. Next is a series of questions. So you're going to do like application. So imagine a deer that lives in a meadow. What does a deer eat? Okay, so if you don't know, you can look it up. If you're a hunter, you definitely know. And then you write that in. And then what eats the deer? Okay, you might personally not eat the deer, but humans, okay, would be a natural predator of deer. And when the deer dies, what happens to its remains? Okay, so you can answer all these questions. Number 9, all living things need energy. Where do consumers get their energy from? Okay, where do producers get their energy from? Number 10, are you a herbivore, carnivore, and omnivore? Explain your answers. Okay, we mentioned this in yesterday's notes. And then you're going to use the picture at the right here to answer questions number 11 through 19. Okay, so you'll see this visual in another location. So that's slide number 4. And then actually, you only have to answer that for, I should change this to 11 to 14. Slide number 5 is really great because you're going to do a food chain for these respective organisms down here. So most of you guys probably know what these organisms are, but you can kind of infer based on what you know. These are the different biomes or the different ecosystems: an ocean, a woodland, and a salt marsh. Salt marsh area is kind of like if you've ever been down to the beach, kind of the area right before the beach. A woodland is kind of like out in the woods somewhere. And then in the ocean, you should know what the ocean looks like. Okay, so kind of separate those organisms. You always start with a producer. So this is your first column right here. This is producers, and then kind of go down the road, okay, or down the line. And then that's your last mandatory slide. I fibbed. Number 5 and 6 are very similar. You'll put them food chains, okay, starting with the first category, which is a producer, and then go there. This is the Arctic, the desert, and the freshwater pond. Okay, so that's 5 and 6 are basically the same thing. You're just putting them in order for a food chain. You always start with a producer. And then slide number 7, this is just telling you that everything up to and including before this would be mandatory. Slide number 8 is extra credit. Okay, so this is a little bit more complicated. So I didn't want to make it mandatory, but I did want to challenge some of you guys that maybe want to try and do a food web. So you're basically, it reads the instructions. You're going to add all those individual pictures, and then you're going to go to insert line and an arrow, and then you would try and draw the arrows to the appropriate organism. Okay, and try your best. It's not perfect. No food web would be perfect as long as you understand the big central ideas. So just to reiterate, today's today's assignment. You're doing slides 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then the slide number 8 would be extra credit. Okay, so good luck. Of course, if at any point in today's activity you struggle or you're struggling, please feel free to reach out to your teacher via email. We'd be happy to help, or set up a Google Meet for you to kind of learn or help anything that we need to. Okay, have a great day.